All right, the White House Correspondents Association just dropped their headline comedian because she made some jokes that the MAGA audience found a little bit offensive. And hey, I thought comedy was now legal in America. What the hell, Elon Musk? I guess comedy is legal unless you are a black woman like comedian Amber Ruffin or Jasmine Crockett, who was soft canceled by MAGA recently. I guess comedy is legal unless you're punching up at a sitting Republican or any sort of Republican with power. I just hate the hypocrisy. We've seen for the past 4 to 8 years Republicans saying that, oh, we can't even make jokes. We all feel smothered because we'll get canceled if we're a little bit too edgy. And, I love edgy humor, but you just can't say the N-word. You can't be saying the N-word, folks, to Republicans out there. And now that we have comedians on the left punching up at Donald Trump, Trump supporters are losing their minds. I mean, this says White House correspondents fire comedian for insulting MAGA. Amber Ruffin was removed from the annual dinner next month after a Republican meltdown. And here's how the story goes. The comedian who is set to perform at the White House Correspondents Dinner was fired from the gig on Saturday, this morning, after the Trump admin took offense to what she said on a recent podcast. And maybe Trump still has PTSD from Obama's joke at the White House Correspondents Dinner back in 2012, I think it was. But Obama made a joke about Trump about a decade back, and Trump still is definitely petty about that to this day. On Thursday, Amber Ruffin had sparked MAGA rage when she said that she wouldn't try to make sure that her jokes targeted both sides of the political spectrum. And I'll play the jokes that she's been making recently, but I really quickly want to break down this really solid response that I saw from Frank on Twitter. It says, the White House Correspondents Association just yanked Amber Ruffin because this administration is too damn fragile to handle a few well-aimed jokes. Let's be crystal clear. This wasn't about decorum. There are always comedians making jokes at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That's basically what it is. It was about fear. Fear of a sharp black woman with a mic, a spotlight, and the receipts. Because Amber doesn't want to get up there and tap dance for the billionaires and white-collar fascists, she was going to drag this admin for filth. Jokes wrapped in truth and truth wrapped in fire, and they knew it. And I'll play the clip one second. Amber was saying that when she goes on stage, she just can't bring herself to target both sides equally when one side is full of a bunch of immoral, borderline murderers at this point. It says, these people weaponize free speech every time someone says the word pronoun, but then they cancel a comedian the moment she dares to say the quiet parts out loud. They can ban books. They can strip civil rights, jail immigrants, rob the poor, hand defense contracts to their cousins, and shove their billionaire sugar daddies in every corner of the government. But God forbid someone cracks a joke at their overpriced, tax-funded dinner at their expense. And this is what weakness looks like. Canceling a comedian because you're terrified she'll speak louder than your propaganda machine. That's fear. The GOP stays screaming about, quote, strong leadership, but can't survive one night of satire. Amber was coming with jokes, not grenades, and they folded like wet paper in a thunderstorm. This isn't strength. This is authoritarian insecurity in a tux. Very well said. Make sure you drop a like for Frank's write-up right there. And I totally agree. I totally agree with everything that he's saying. And here's the clip that pissed off Trump supporters and went viral, and then I'll play some of her recent jokes as well. But Taylor47 on Twitter, who's the White House Deputy Chief of Staff and Cabinet Secretary, Taylor, and then 47 for Trump, he said in the White House, this year's White House Correspondents Association dinner will be hosted by a second-rate comedian who is previewing the event by calling this admin murderers who want to, quote, feel like human beings, but they shouldn't get to feel that way because you're not. What kind of responsible, sensible journalist would attend something like this? More importantly, what kind of company would sponsor such a hate-filled and violence-inspiring event? Lord have mercy. Let me remind you one more time. Taylor, who's tweeting this, is working in the White House that is currently, as Frank said, banning books, stripping civil rights, jailing immigrants, robbing the poor, handing defense contracts out, allowing Elon Musk to fire veterans en masse. But then they say that this event is hate-filled because a comedian wanted to call out the Trump admin and poke fun at power. And can I just remind you guys, that is tradition at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Anybody who's been alive for any amount of time and been following politics, they have comedians there. They crack jokes. The jokes are oftentimes at the expense of the president and the people around him. Last year, President Biden invited people that called him old to his face and made jokes about Biden sleeping. Like someone made a joke, I'm pretty sure Biden's sleeping during this, and he didn't care. because he can take a joke, but Donald Trump and his allies cannot. So now the dinner will feature nothing. No comedian. The punchlines won't be there. I mean, maybe some other random MAGA comedians will come out. But yeah, I mean, it seems like Ruffin successfully bruised the ego of the dude who once tried to sue The Onion. Keep in mind, Trump once tried to sue The Onion. So let's watch this clip that really got MAGA pissed off.
I don't necessarily, like, I'm not 100% interested in being like, ha, you're here, look at your stupid head, you're burned. I care that, like, you're kind of a bunch of murderers. I mean, so, like, they were like, you need to be, equal and make sure that that you give it to both sides and blah, blah, blah. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be freaking doing that, dude. Under no circumstances.
I'm not even joking. That was literally it. That was the clip that has MAGA super angry. That is the clip that the White House Deputy Chief of Staff tweeted out and said, this is hate and violence filled. All that she said is she actually wants to joke about substance. She said she doesn't want to look at Trump and be like, ha, look at your hair and your orange face. She actually wants to talk about the politics that have been going on, talk about substance, use it as an opportunity. And they canceled her for that. They literally canceled her from the event, but they're also trying to quote unquote cancel her online, as the right wingers do. And I mean, I just want to take a step back. This is the same Trump White House that's already banned the AP from its events, reshuffled the press pool, and allowed people like Tim Pool to push out critical outlets. And he's also spent years saying that the press is the enemy of the media. And now they want to dictate the tone of one night, the one night meant to celebrate press freedom. Because the White House Correspondents Dinner is a night to celebrate the media. Even if we feel like the media has failed us in many different ways, it's good to celebrate having free speech, having free press. But the only thing is, the press is letting the Trump admin dictate this, because the White House Correspondents Association board, keep in mind, is ran by a bunch of news moguls, people who work at the top of Bloomberg, people who work at MSNBC. They're the ones making these decisions, and they decided that they're so scared of Trump that Amber Ruffin should be canceled. And they claimed she's like inciting violence or violating decorum, but no, it's because she made jokes. If you want to talk about violating decorum, talk about any of the Trump admin officials who will likely be there. I mean, come on. And then meanwhile, Trump supporters have been organizing their own alternative events around the dinner because they don't want to hear any of the jokes being made. They want to stay in their own little echo chamber. Here's another joke from Amber Ruffin a while back.
During the Houston Astros World Series victory parade on Monday, Senator Ted Cruz was reportedly hit with a beer can in the chest and neck. It missed his spine because he doesn't have one.
That was so violent and cruel and broke decorum. Obviously, I'm joking. Those are the types of benign jokes she probably would have made at the White House Correspondents Dinner. And you know, it's supposed to be a space where journalists hold power to account, so it's kind of sad to see power getting to set the boundaries of what's acceptable. I'll leave it at that. Drop a like, subscribe. I love each and every single one of you, and we'll talk in the next video. Peace out.